Well, hello again to all the boys and girls out there in YouTube land watching. Georgia Beer Reviews back at you today with another one. And what I'm looking at is from Harpoon Brewing Company out of Boston, Massachusetts. This is the Long Thaw. It is a hazy IPA with orange peel and coriander added. It's 6.2% alcohol by volume. They also have a brewery in Windsor, Vermont. Hazy IPA with orange peel and coriander. Interesting. Almost like a wit beer or like a Blue Moon with the orange peel coriander thing going on there. Blue Moon or Shock Top. Let's see. There's some writing here on the can or on the bottle. Nothing. Yeah, just like a little poem on the label. Okay, so I've never had this. It is a seasonal beer. The date on this was packaged on November 23rd of 2020, so not really that old. Just a few months, which for this style should be fine. Doesn't say what the IBUs are. They're not listed on the label. It is a hazy IPA, so if I had to guess, I'd say like between 40 and 60. All right, let's go ahead and pour it up. All right, poured it pretty aggressively because it wasn't pouring with much of a head, but there it goes. Nice 1.5 finger white, kind of a frothy looking head. The appearance, hazy, orange. I don't see anything really floating around in there, but at least there's no big chunks. But there is almost like a dusty type. It has like a dusty type unfiltered look to it. Like little fine dust particles suspended throughout the beer. But there's no chunks or there's nothing falling to the bottom of the glass. And it's opaque. You cannot see through it. But it is on the lighter side of orange. The aroma. You're getting the hops. A little bit of a tangerine, citrus type note. Some bready malt character in there as well. None of the alcohol at 6.2%. Wasn't really expecting any on the aroma. So the tangerine citrus thing, I feel like I'm getting that from the hops, not so much from the orange peel. But maybe there is a little bit from the orange peel. It's hard to tell just off of the aroma. I'm not getting any coriander. Yeah, really not getting any coriander. It smells good. There's really not too much there. It just has a little bit of that tangerine citrus type nose with a little bit of bready malt character. That's pretty much it. So without further ado, let's get into this brew. Cheers. More of the citrus comes through on the palate. A little bit of like a wheat bready note. A little bit of that coriander is actually coming through on the palate now. I wasn't picking it up on the aroma, but there is a little bit of coriander presence on the palate. Really enjoying the wheat bready type notes in the middle of the sip. There's a good amount of bitterness with this one on the back end. If I had to guess, I would say the IBUs were probably closer to 50, 55, somewhere in that range. Yeah, a substantial bitterness on the finish, which lingers slightly. The body, though, was relatively light. Carbonation is on the high end of light, getting towards medium. It's refreshing. Those nice citrus notes just kind of burst. And that nice juicy character that you get from it really makes it refreshing. Semi-dry finish. somewhat lingering with the bitterness, so not as drinkable as some of your other hazy IPAs with less bitterness. Because when you get that bitterness that kind of sticks to the insides of your mouth, it makes the sip ratio slightly lower than beers with less bitterness, at least for me. The less bitterness, the more drinkable for my personal palate. Very enjoyable though. No alcohol presence, super smooth, easy drinking. Except, like I said, if you're like me and the bitterness is actually, now that I'm drinking it, it's kind of dying down a little bit. The first few sips, it's like your palate has to adjust to the bitterness. But it's still a little bit more bitter than my personal preferences. Um, what I like with my personal preference for these types of beers. But it doesn't take away from the quality of this beer at all. Let's see. One more sip and give you guys a rating. Yeah. It's an A. I'm going to go with a 93, just getting into that solid A range. I would like maybe a little less bitterness, a little bit more of the citrus to come through, and the coriander kind of gets lost. I would like maybe a little bit more of that, since they do say right there on the label that they add coriander to it. I was kind of hoping to get a little bit more of that. Nonetheless, it has great wheat, bready malt notes in the middle of the sip. The citrus notes are on point. I just wish there were a little bit more of them. And the bitterness is formidable. It's one of those experiences. If you like the more bitter IPAs, you definitely enjoy this one. So 93 out of 100 for the Harpoon, the Long Thaw. It is a seasonal beer. You probably won't be able to find it again until the end of this year. I don't know, because like I said, this was bottled back in November of 2020. But definitely worth checking out if you can find it. That'll do it for this beer review, guys. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. And until next time, cheers.